and welcome back to another week of DearPiggy's JavaScript tutorials. So this video we're going to be talking about objects and methods. So this, guys, is actually a pretty hard topic. So I'm going to try to kind of give you a basic sort of, I guess, how do I explain this? A basic sort of preview of what it's about so that you guys kind of understand what's going on. But again, this is a very, very advanced topic. So it's totally okay if you don't understand this the first time, because we will be going into this a lot deeper as we get more advanced. So yeah, let's jump right in. So JavaScript objects are basically kind of like containers. So they start with a variable, but they're almost like variables that can have many, many values. So if you take a look at my example here, this variable is called person, but people can have names, schools, favorite foods. So your object can have multiple different values, just like a person. Same thing with animals, and these values can be both strings, integers, anything like that. So we kind of have a good idea of what an object is. If you're ever confused about what an object is, think of a person, because a person in general is, well, one thing, but that thing can do many things and it can have many things. So that's one thing that I want to repeat. That's a really good motto. A person can do many things and have many things. That's a great motto for objects. So go to Replit and let's get started and create our first object. So we are actually going to bring this down here, get rid of this part, and just use this script tag. Now again, I don't know if you've noticed, but objects are kind of like variables. So we start off with a variable. And now variable me, this is my object. My object is called me. Now that's not the best example actually. Var's to puppy, because you kind of want to have a general broad idea. Now a puppy can have a name, so its name could be Brownie, comma. It can have an age, and it could be 3. Or no, let's just not do 3. Let's do 6. It can have a favorite toy, and it could be a squeaky toy. And last but not least, it can have a favorite human, which is, well, guys, me. Okay, so basically we've created our first object here. Puppy is a general object. It's an object, and a puppy can have a name, it has an age, it has a toy, and it has a favorite human. So it's like a thing. Well, it's like an empty container. An object is like an empty container or a variable that has many different values. So yeah, if you take a look here, it has basically value pairs, which is properties and values. So this over here, your name is your property. So the puppy in this case has 4 properties, which are name, age, toy, and human. Then each of the properties has a value called Brownie, 6, Squeaky, and me. So these are name and, well, no, property and value pairs. That's what we call them. Now notice that these are separated with a comma, and every single pair is separated by, oh wait, no. A property and a value is separated by a colon, but the pairs are separated by commas, and this last one obviously has no comma. So this is our first object. If I want to just kind of show you to how you could print this value out, let me go ahead and use DOM objects. Line 1, and I'm going to copy this. Remember, this is in the HTML, line 2. So, like if we take a look here, we can say, come back and document dot get element by ID. Which ID? Let's do line 1 first, and set its inner HTML to be the puppy's favorite toy. So basically, puppy.toy is the object.property name. So whatever you want to get there is going to be, well, run, unexpected token. Oh, aha. So it's basically, one thing that I forgot is the code is telling me that it's getting confused about these curly braces, and that's because I need to have a semicolon afterwards. So very, very, very important, guys. I'm so sorry that I forgot, but after your object here, you need to have a semicolon. Run your code, and we have another one. Oh, all right. Guys, it's really not my day-to-day. I apologize. But when you're setting variables, you need to be sure that you have it equal to something, right? Yeah, your variable needs to be equal to something. My bad. I completely blew that out of my head. So now it finally is working, and we have it set to squeaky. Not exactly my most glorious moment. So let me go ahead and try to redo it. Let's do another object. This time we'll talk about ice cream. Ice cream. Now we need to set it equal to something, right? And we also need to put a semicolon. Again, the semicolon is one of the harder things to remember. But the ice cream can have a favorite flavor. And let's stick with chocolate. Chocolate. I love chocolate. Bring your comma down. It can also be type. Let's see, frozen. So frozen. And who, we can say toddlers are eating it. So another shorter object, it only has 3 pairs, but works the same. Let me go ahead and do this. So let me try to redeem myself now, guys. Document.get element by ID. This time use line 2. Line 2, and set its HTML to the object name, ice cream, and then the pair that you want to do. So let's say .who. So who is having this ice cream? Run your code now, and we get toddlers. So I've successfully redeemed myself. I know that we now know how to essentially create objects. Again, this was just a brief skim onto the surface of objects. You can do so many things with them. I just wanted to introduce them to you, so hopefully by now we know that objects are like variables that have multiple values. And so yeah. All right, the next section of this video is talking about methods. So remember the motto, the very nice motto that I invented, that people can have many things and do many things, just like puppies can have many things and do many things. So in this case, this puppy has lots of things. It has names, ages, toys, and humans. The ice cream has flavors, types, and people who eat it. But we didn't talk about what these things can do. So methods are functions in your objects. That's right, guys. We're moving on to the next step. Methods are functions in objects. So yes, mind blown. Now, methods are actually going to be one of the harder things that we talk about. In fact, I do not expect you to completely understand it the first time, because there are some very, very confusing parts. But hopefully after this, if you can remember that methods are functions in your objects, then you are good to go. So let me go ahead and show you. It looks slightly different, and well, you know what, I'll just show you. So we're going to see that we've created our puppy object, but now I'm going to give it a method inside. So we still give it a property name. Let's call it bark. So then I want to set it to be function. Now, most cases you'll think that this word function is the name of the function, but no. One confusing part. Confusing tip 1. Bark is actually the function name. This is just saying that this bark is a function. So this property here has the value not of a string or an integer, but of a function. So yeah, confusing tip 1. Hope you understood that. To this day, it's still not something that I 100% understand. Just know that basically it's specifying that this property is a function. After that, we're going to go ahead and, well, tell it what to do. So we are going to say, actually, yeah, we can go ahead and say, guys, I'm going to give it a last name as well, and you'll see why I'm doing this in a second. So Brownie Wang. Living in the Wang family, you gotta have the last name. So We're not going to call it bar, we're going to call it full, standing for full name. So function, we're going to have to say this dot name plus this dot last name. Now, you guys are staring at me with very, very confused faces. And I know, it's confusing. It's very, very, very confusing. I get it. But let me go ahead and run this, and then I'll explain it to you. So go ahead, and instead of toy, we're going to say puppy dot full, and then put your parentheses behind it. So this is really, really important. Don't forever forget your parentheses. It's going to give me undefined. Oh, aha. So one thing I forgot is this keyword return. And I know, guys, you guys are very confused. Let me get this done for you, and then you'll see what's going on. So Brownie Wang has been returned, and it's basically stuck together the first name and the last name. So let's go into detail now about what these methods actually are. Full is the property name. This function is essentially telling the program that full is going to turn into a function. Now these curly braces are like, okay, so now this is where your code should go. Return keyword is very important because as you saw that if I don't give the return keyword, it's going to give me undefined. So return is basically going to say, run this next line of code and be done. So not exactly, you might think it's useless, but you gotta have it. So return is basically what it actually means is it's saying, run this next line of code and then be finished with your function. So use the keyword return. Now we understand name plus last name. That's pretty easy to explain. But what does this mean? So this is essentially referring to this object. When you're running your code here, we know that you could have many other variables called name and last name outside of your object. So this is basically specifying, saying, use the property name and last name in this object. So go back in and look at this object and find the name and last name. Don't go through the entire program and look for name and last name. Only look in this object. So this is kind of like saying, in this function. Now there is a very, very fancy definition for it, but I did not think that you guys would understand it. So that's why we're basically going to just remember that this is essentially saying in this function. So we know that now this works. So I'm going to kind of do another example here because I don't think we have it down pat. So let's say more. So what are some more of our favorite flavors? I also like strawberry ice cream. All right, so now let's go ahead and create our method. So we're going to say complete. So what is our complete favorite ice cream? Actually, no, let's call it fave. So what are our favorite ice creams? Well, we want this to be a function because we need it to do something. What should the function do? It should, well, return something, right? What should it return? It should return this dot flavor. So return the flavor plus a space plus this dot more. What this is saying is it's saying when I run this fave property, it's going to give me the flavor and more. So it should give me chocolate strawberry. And I'm going to say and over here. So now if I try to execute, if I try to run the function, I'm going to say this dot ice cream dot fave with the parentheses behind it. If you run your code, it gives chocolate and strawberry. So basically what happened here is we created a method. It was a property called fave, and we specified that it was a function, and then we told it to return the value of the flavor in this object. So find the value of flavor that is located in this object and find the value of more, which is also located in this object. Then print it back out when it's told to. So guys, this was our objects and methods video. Again, objects and methods are such complicated things. This was just something that touched the surface, and it's okay if you did not understand it all, because if you watch this video again, and then maybe even 3 times, you'll understand it a teeny bit more. And so the next time you learn it, whether it's with me or anybody else, you'll understand it just a little bit more. So the more you learn it, the more you'll understand it. So hopefully, if you're watching this for the first time, it was a pretty good explanation about what objects and methods were. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next videos. Bye guys!